The other headline that I think we're going to have as we get closer to training camp, which is coming up later on, probably about 3 or 4 weeks away, is what's the deal with Terry McLaurin? And so Adam Schefter was on Pat McAfee's show earlier today, and he gave us an update on the Terry McLaurin situation.
There's no update, which is the update. And that's the problem. The problem is, with this particular situation, I think Terry McLaurin is going to argue that we've seen other wide receivers who his numbers are comparable to, like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and DK Metcalf, get paid over $30 million a year this offseason. And I think the Commanders then can say yes, but Mike Evans, who also has had comparable numbers, is at $24 million. So there really is quite a difference and a gap between what both sides would want. They have not made any progress. I would think that we'll see if there are any teams that decide to come snooping around Terry McLaurin to see if they could try to pry loose Terry McLaurin, who, by the way, I cannot envision the Commanders moving on from, no matter how disgruntled he may be. Again, it's sort of like T.J. Watt. You can't imagine that these two sides, as far apart as they are today, wouldn't be able to somehow find a way to bridge their differences and figure out a solution. But today, McLaurin and the Commanders are not close. Watt and the Steelers are not close. And those will be two of the storylines that we are tracking as we get ready for training camp.
So, look, I understand this situation. I understand it. You know, he is going to be 30 when he takes the field. I guess week 2 or week 3, because his birthday is September 15th. So he's going to be 30. And you do not want to lock yourself into a guy who is, you know, we know for the most part, Father Time always wins. And when you look at the ages of the highest paid wide receivers, the highest paid wide receiver in football is Jamar Chase. He's 25. Second highest, Justin Jefferson. He's 25. CeeDee Lamb, 25. DK Metcalf, 27. A.J. Brown, 26. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 24. You don't get to number 2, 4, 6, 7. The seventh highest paid average wide receiver is Tyreek Hill. He's 30. But then you keep going. 26, Brandon Ayuk. 26, T. Higgins. 25, Jalen Waddle. 27, DJ Moore. The next highest guy in the 30s is Devontae Adams, who's getting paid $22 million a year, and he's 32 years old. So I get it. I get the problem, the standstill we're at in terms of what this thing is. But remember, in a couple of years, Jaden Daniels is going to get paid ungodly amounts of money that he deserves. Well, not as much as he deserves. Because remember, I'm the guy who thinks that quarterbacks are getting paid too much and it's ruining salary caps for a lot of teams in the league. He's going to get paid a lot. You've got what, 2 years left before that happens? And so I would think that Terry McLaurin, my bad. So that was I don't know why they would list it this way. That was the age at signing. But point still stands. All the guys I said were 24, 25, 26. They might be at most 1 year older because a lot of these guys had their deals signed in 2024, 2025. So Jamar Chase is 25, but Justin Jefferson might be 26. CeeDee Lamb might be 26. So these guys are all young and spectacular. If we based it off of talent, Terry McLaurin should get $30 million a year. He should be right there with Tyreek Hill. Should be certainly ahead of Brandon Ayuk probably. But we're not paying for that because we're adding in his age. We're adding in the salary cap. To me, if I'm the Washington Commanders, the next 2 years, I'm going overboard. I'm signing Terry McLaurin to a 2-year, $70 million deal. Why 2 years? Because you know that you're going to have to sign Terry McLaurin. And I'm looking here to see. I mean, they've got a lot of cap space. Right now, they have, I'm trying to see here, they have a lot of cap space. And so, like, you can go and you can add more to Terry McLaurin's current deal for the next couple of years until Jaden Daniels, 2028. So to make it a 3-year deal then. 3-year extension for Terry McLaurin. Coincide it with when Jaden Daniels will get his huge contract. And if you have to say goodbye to Terry McLaurin at 33, then you have to say goodbye at 33. Right now they have $22 million in cap space, essentially. And then in 2026, they have $78 million in cap space. And then in 2027, they've got a lot of cap space because they don't have a lot of guys signed. But you know what I mean. So, like, there is room there to sign Terry McLaurin to a short-term, heavy-duty contract. And you know what you can do? Guarantee a lot of it. Guarantee a lot of it. If Josh Harris is such a good owner, he'd guarantee a lot of money. That's why the Eagles are allowed to fit a lot of players under the cap. Jeffrey Lurie pays a lot of guaranteed money to players. And because of this, a lot of guaranteed money, then these players take less in their contracts because they know this other money's coming. If Josh Harris is such a good owner, guarantee a large chunk of change for Terry McLaurin, and then that way you don't have to pay as much in the contract. I get it. Comparing him to Mike Evans is a good comp. I mean, Mike Evans is probably better and has done it longer, I want to say. You can't really compare him to DK Metcalf because Terry McLaurin's better than DK Metcalf. But this has to get done. You cannot go to training camp and not have this done. My prediction is this gets done day 4 of training camp. They show up in Ashburn Park. That's still what they call it, right? Is it still Ashburn Park? Okay. I thought there was some sort of corporate name or whatever. They show up in Ashburn Park, the storyline, everybody gets asked about it. Terry's holdout, everything. And then by day 3 or 4, Terry McLaurin's with them in training camp. I mean, am I off base, Jordan? I mean, if you do a shorter term deal, but you hike up the money, then you don't have to worry about his age going forward, and you don't have to worry about it as much because Jaden Daniels' huge contract will come into play. And if you have to unfortunately let Terry go, you kind of let him go.
Yeah, and I would think, the short term route you're gonna pay short term money. So it just seems like that would probably be the smartest thing to do if the Commanders front office seemed so pressed to get a deal done in the 11th hour.
Like, I understand why this is going on. I understand it. It's very difficult because Terry's a top 10 wide receiver, closer to 5 than 10, and the Commanders are sitting there saying, well, you're 29 now, you're 30. Now, here's the other thing that works in Terry's favor. Terry has not missed a game the last 4 seasons. He's played all 17 games the last 4 seasons. And so when you look at a guy who's reliable, Terry McLaurin's reliable. He plays. That's what they need. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. There's no way Washington can go into week 1 without him. There's no way. I can't even see a scenario. I mean, I guess I can see a scenario where he doesn't play, but that would be foolish in both directions. So foolish. Because then you'd have to move Debo up to number 1. Whether or not Debo's fast anymore, I don't know. But Debo's not number 1. You saw San Francisco last year without Brandon Ayuk. Debo did not carry that offense. He couldn't carry that offense, and then he got hurt. So Washington needs Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin needs Washington. And I think they'll figure it out. I think it'll go till the beginning of training camp. I really do. I think that there's no way this team, who gathered all sorts of positivity, who may or may not be looking at the RFK Stadium deal coming up, who has all these things going in the right direction. You got away from Daniel Snyder. You had a season of positivity. There's no way you'd want to start your 2025 campaign with Terry McLaurin on the sidelines, not playing, not in uniform, not under contract, whatever. I think this thing's going to drag out, and I think that they'll eventually get it done. Both teams will cave a little. Terry will ask for a little bit less. Commanders will give him a little bit more, and then we'll get there. And one of the best wide receivers in football will see his way to the field.